Farming Aetherpool and Palace of the Dead got significantly easier for a lot of reasons. And hopefully you're not like me and farmed most of the Aetherpool for the achievements before these changes because it got a lot easier. And this one is pretty straightforward. It's kind of just do the activity. I do have some tips and tricks along the way, but to break it down, it's pretty simple. As you just want to kill bosses and find silver chests as fast as possible. I have some other things I'm going to break down in a little bit of how I would approach this, but I just want to cover some things starting off in case someone just wants to hit max Aetherpool or is starting Palace of the Dead for the first time. Generally, it's pretty easy. You just could put up a party finder or you can go in solo. I don't think the first 50 floor sets are, that hard and that you couldn't do it solo even with no experience because of how forgiving the recent changes are, of where if you knocked out you don't have to worry about starting over a run. Just throw up a PF, you'll get through 1 through 50 in no time, probably no sweat at all. And if your only goal is to hit max Aetherpool, you'll probably be pretty close at the end of your 50 or your first 50 floors, if not there entirely. If not, you'll probably just have to come back and do 1 or 2 more floor sets to hit your max Aetherpool. Now, if you are looking for Aetherpool farming, whether you want weapons for glamour or all of the achievements, I do have some other tips for you, because a lot of people are going to say, find all the silver chests along the way and you'll be 99 in no time, which is true, but I do have some things to argue against that. So first off, the farm is pretty simple. Most people know it if you've done it before, but it is, a lot of people just say do the 51 through 60 floor set, which unlocks after you complete it for the first time. You could just start a run at 50 and then you just do 51 to 60, repeating, of course. However, I like to change that strategy a little bit and I like to do 51 through 80. And the reason I say this is because these floor sets, they all take about the same amount of time. I've done it in a 4-man, I've done it in a 2-man, I've done it solo. They always range from about 11 minutes to 13 minutes for a clear, regardless if you are in a 2-man, solo, or in a 4-man. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really speed up the pace too much because things basically die in a 1, 2, 3 anyway, and it doesn't really matter that you have more people because you have to cover the same amount of distance and wait the same amount of time to get to the next floor set. Does or can speed it up a little bit with bosses, but it really does not make that much of a difference. I've done this so many times, trust me on that one. You can plan for about 12 minutes of floor regardless if you're doing it solo or in a 4-stack, depending on skill level. Some of the best jobs to take in for that, just to make sure it takes this time, is like Picto, Machinist Summoner. Anything with damage helps make it keep around this time. And the reason I say you just continue on these floor sets is because you get to keep your Palmanders. Now, does it really make a difference because you will probably find a strength every single run? Not really. However, I just find it a little bit more convenient because the time it takes to reset is about the same amount of time it does to go to the next floor, with a whole lot less menuing, and there's not really much of a time save because all the floors take the same amount of time. So basically, find your strength, pop your strength as soon as possible, go through these floor sets, and just reset once you get to 80. And some things to keep in note, because you may have to leave in case your Aetherpool gets so high. But one thing I want to emphasize before I talk about all of the numbers behind it is some people are going to tell you to go look for silver chests along the way. And I sort of disagree with this. I think you want to get to the killing to the bosses as fast as possible, because that is a guaranteed 5 out of 5 for both slots in your Aetherpool. This is just meaning if you run across a silver chest on your way to the boss, yes, absolutely pick it up, because you're probably getting Aetherpool from 1 to 4, I believe. It might be 1 to 3 every time you pick up a silver chest, which is helpful. I'm just saying, don't full clear the full floors and spend an extra minute to go to another room for the chance of there being a silver chest. Just speed through it, get to the boss. And the reason behind that is because the boss is a guaranteed, and if you can get your boss time kills and your floor sets down to 12 minutes rather than like 17 minutes from full clearing and looking for all of the silver chests, it's going to make a world of difference if you're trying to get all of these Aether pools for all of the achievements. If that's not your case and you're just trying to get to 999 or 99 as fast as possible, then sure, full clear, because you're probably only doing 2 to 3 floor sets in order to max out your Aether pool if you're farming it. So some of my things behind that. Now, where do you want to keep your Aether pool? I think this is pretty important just because how the changes go. And I've kept track of all my numbers, but you can expect around 20 to 30 Aether pool per floor set on both sides. So if you're starting at 40, you can expect to end around 70 after your first floor set. So I like to stick around the 40-ish range, maybe like high 30s, low 40s, because in one of my runs, the best run I ever had when I was farming this and collecting all the data was I got 47 Aether pool strength and then 38 of the Aether pool defense. So nearly 50 and 40. So if I was starting at 60 when I started my farming, I actually would have overcapped. So that's why I start at 40s. But just a rule of thumb, you can probably expect around 30 Aether pool in each slot every single floor set. So if you have to leave to go to an area in order to then get some more grips, if you're chasing for the glamour, definitely do that in between floor sets. You could take that time to reset if you want. If not, it's not that big of a deal. Another thing off of that I didn't mention previously, when your Aether pool number is glowing yellow, you do have a decreased chance of getting Aether pool from silver chest. The boss is always guaranteed, so you don't have to worry about that. Another reason why I think you kind of want to treat this like a boss rush rather than full exploring looking for chest. So keep that in mind if you're at the yellow portion. If your Aether pool number says yellow or shows yellow, it means you have a decreased chance of getting Aether pool from the chest. So definitely make sure you turn in Aether pool if you're farming for grips below that number when you're farming. As long as you're below that yellow one, you should be fine. And you don't even really have to worry about pots or any of that. You're going to get a lot of sustaining pots because of the changes of every time you kill an ad, you have a chance to drop them. And the only, I know I mentioned before, but the only other thing I can say is like pop strength as soon as possible. Because if you're a machinist and you use drill, which comes back every 20 seconds, everything just dies in one drill, more than likely. So that's pop it. And that's why I like farming multiple floor sets, because then if you get 3 strength and you're doing it solo, doesn't matter. You have a strength for every single floor set. And then that's just me. But you can ignore me if you want. That's just my advice and my experience. I want to talk a little bit about those who are achievement hunting, just because I find this fun. Because before these changes, you were getting about 20 Aether pool an hour. I was getting about 3 grips every 3, or a grip every hour, essentially. It was not great. If you math it all out, it's about a 45-hour grind to complete it. Previously, to complete all of the achievements. Now, it's like an 8-hour grind. So the numbers that maps out that I had was, I was getting 20 Aether pool every hour with 12-minute runs. Now I'm getting 90 Aether pool an hour with 15-minute runs. So I just used 15 because I was very lazy with my math, but it would probably be closer to 100 Aether pool an hour. So 5 times the amount of Aether pool as it was previously. So we cut down about a 50-hour achievement of just farming for all of the Aether pool for all of the grips to now about 8 hours. Which is lovely for all of those achievement hunters or people who want glamour or people who want to just farm weapons for when they add it in Evercold. So yeah, I get all this data is crazy and stuff, but hopefully I help you figure out the way that you want to farm the Aether pool and which way that you think is best. I like correcting data and all of this, doing these funny things, but you know, if there's something else you want me to break down, I'm happy to do it. I got a lot in the works. But yeah. That's all I have for this video. I hope you found it helpful, and I hope you have a great